See this little bit of dirt? It doesn't look like much, but believe it or not, it's a watermelon. At least the seed is planted for it to become that. And today we're gonna look at a website that's done extremely well, yet the website owner's a little frustrated with the progress. And we're gonna show you that if you plant everything well now, what results you should expect from your passive income website and when to expect them. All right, so we're here in the office ready to take a look at the website. It's fastcastrods.com by one of our Project 24 members, which is our premium course where we're showing you step-by-step how to build it. Even following our step-by-step recipe, almost always there are some things that we want people to tweak as we're working with them on their websites. This one is almost perfect. Yeah. He did an awesome job on the keyword research, the design. It's just a really well done website.
That's right. He came to us and asked us to take a look at it because he's a little bit frustrated with its current performance. So let me give you just a touch of background. The site's only about 2 months old total. It
Brand new.
30 posts on it, many of which are less than a week old. So there's not a lot of history yet, okay? But he's concerned because he's only getting maybe like 10 visitors per month, which is completely normal for a brand new site.
Totally normal.
It's going to take a few months for any of these posts really to rank, at least a few months. And it's probably going to be 5 or 6 months for any website before the traffic really starts to, I mean, you'll see it ticking up and up and up slowly, but you start to hit that hockey stick growth in that 6 to 9 month time frame. And because of that, I'm not worried, but I understand why he would be. So we are going to take a look at the website and walk you through it.
We did a video a little while ago called "The Number One Reason Why Internet Marketers Fail," and this is what we talked about. The number one reason people fail is because you're doing the work, you see no results whatsoever, and that is normal until you hit the 6 to 9 months. So many people quit or delete their websites 4 to 6 months in.
If you're at this point and you're thinking about deleting your website, send me an email. I'll buy it from you.
Yes. If you've done this kind of work and you're 4 months in, we'll be happy to take it off your hands. Okay. But that's why we use the seed analogy at the start of this video, is because this is a very well planted seed.
Yeah.
And I fully expect this website to do well.
Yep.
Okay, so let's take a look at why that is. Let's talk about all the things that are going well and what makes us excited about this one, and then we'll get into some of the details that we'd probably change here. So the number one thing that I care about is the content.
Yep.
And when I look at these keywords, the titles he's using, they're perfect. So well done. So for a staple post, 10 simple tips for catching bluegill. It's perfect. It's shareable content. It's about 2,500 words. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want to see.
And it's not such a big, broad, competitive keyword that you would need strong, in-depth pillar content for. So it's just the right size of keyword for a staple post.
Do lake trout feed at night? Perfect response post. How much does a bass boat cost? Perfect response.
Can you take fishing rods on a plane? I'm at my house preparing for a trip, and I'm like, wait, can I take this on a plane?
Hooks on them and stuff.
Yeah. Do I have to check it? Can I carry it on? I don't know. So,
can you legally fish with a drone? Beautiful. When we read through this the first time, we were just scanning through the website, and as soon as we read that title, we're like, yes. Yeah. That's the kind of information. It's just niche enough that there's not going to be much competition for this. But I promise there are people all around the world that search that.
Absolutely.
I promise it will get some traffic.
As we went through really all 30 of the headlines, there were only a couple that we found that we thought this might be just a little bit too broad.
But what I love is that they're all answering a question.
Yes.
Somebody's actually typing this into Google. It just rained and somebody caught nothing. And so they're typing, will bass bite after a rainstorm? Perfect question. They're perfect. I can see myself Googling some of these. And what we usually see, we harp on this a lot in the course, and so most people taking our course get this, but usually from other people who are making websites, we see things that are like, they're almost as if they're chapters in a textbook. That yes, it's good information, but it's not really answering a question that people are typing in.
Yeah.
It's maybe something that they don't yet know that they need to know that information.
Yeah, oh man. When I started blogging, I made this mistake a lot. Even on Income School, I wanted to teach people the stuff that I thought they needed to know as somebody who went to business school and learned about business. And what I found out is most people don't care because they don't know yet what they don't know.
Yes. Yeah, so you have something you want to share. You learn this really, really cool fishing tip. And so, you write about this fishing tip, but nobody was searching that because you didn't start with a question.
Exactly.
It takes some time to really hone in on what that's like, but I always start with a keyword
Unless you're this
question.
guy, then you figured it out from the start.
And that's very, very good.
Yep.
All right, so the keyword research is definitely great. How about the actual writing and content?
Yeah, so as we looked at the content, I like it. First of all, we'll talk about images in a minute because I think that there's something we really like about the way he's done it here as well. But also, as I look through the content and the writing, I see it broken down into nice, easy, readable chunks. Some of these, these paragraphs are often 3 lines long or less, which is great. If I'm looking at it at a mobile phone, it might fill up the whole phone, so it might feel like a big block of text, but I don't know, people are used to that.
It's pretty good. They're not huge, long paragraphs. Bulleted lists, lots of subheadings to break it up.
Exactly. I think it's well formatted to make it easy to read.
That's the kind of thing that seems kind of small, but makes a really big difference. Because if you're just writing in fat chunks of text everywhere, people bounce, yeah. And so, you did everything else right on your website, but if people are just across the board having a negative experience when it's just too text heavy, they just won't read it. Now, when I say text heavy, I don't mean that the articles are short. We don't want that. We find universally that the longer articles almost always do better than the shorter articles. But what I do mean is just the paragraphs, just nicely formatted, easy flow, scannable kind of reading.
Right. You mentioned having nice subheadings throughout the post. You want people to be able to kind of scan through the post and find the things that they're looking for and not feel like they have to read every word to catch what it is, to catch the answer to their question.
Okay, so now maybe let's go a little bit to the design of the website in general. The images I really like the images used on this website. So tempting to, when you're just purchasing stock photos, to get something that's too cheesy looking. Just something that's like on a white background and it's people shaking hands, and it just looks so cheesy. It doesn't look like you're dealing with an actual human being here. And these pictures, they probably are from stock, but they don't feel too formal. They feel like, it could just be somebody's snap of a cell phone of the lures and stuff. So that's exactly what I like to see on a website.
Yep. So images, very, very well done, spot on. You've got images with every single post. They're showing up, obviously here is a featured image, but they're showing up within the post, which makes it visually just appealing. You don't have too many images in the posts. Some of these have an image more than just the image at the top, but only when it makes sense, which is fantastic. So now the next thing that comes up with the design is just the overall sort of branding. The logo itself, I really like the logo. The fishing rod kind of blends into the background on the nav bar, on the menu bar. I would probably either lighten the color of the menu bar or change the color, choose something that goes well with that red, but where the fishing reel's not going to just blend into the background.
White is the color of web design right now. It's white. When you go to all of the largest websites, it's white backgrounds and often white headers too.
Yep.
It just looks so clean. It is the color of web design. And when you're new to web design, it's really tempting to have, real high contrast in things. And this is the default with that dark gray. It doesn't look bad. It looks good.
No, it looks good.
But I'm just giving you permission, if you want to make this a light gray, very light gray or even white nav bar with a barely gray kind of background, totally fine.
And to make that work with your logo, I don't know if you have access to like the Photoshop file that it's created in, or Adobe Illustrator, wherever it was created. If you have access to that file, this will be really easy. But you could either put a color right behind the logo. I guess what I'm worried about is the words fastened rods are white. So if you had a white background,
make it black.
So you can either make those words black, or you could put just put a little border around the letters.
Yeah, I think it looks nice.
Just
and
a little black stroke around them.
I like that graphic. I kind of like when logos kind of interact with the text a little bit.
Yeah.
So you could even put that rod at kind of an angle, and kind of between the fast cast rods, if it just kind of came through there and the letters are kind of partially cut off and stuff. I think it could look neat anyway, since it's just a straight line. But whatever. Obviously, the logo isn't going to make or break your website, but
it looks really, really good.
Yeah, it looks good. Okay, other things, he shows recent posts in the sidebar. Now, sidebars should be kind of an afterthought, honestly, from a design perspective. Most of your users are on mobile, and the sidebar is going to go to the very bottom. They're never even going to notice it. And so I wouldn't worry too much about the sidebar here, but it just doesn't make much sense to have your homepage in chronological order here, showing the most recent post at the top, and then a whole sidebar widget showing most recent post. It just doesn't make sense.
Right. And I do the same for recent comments. I would just get rid of both of those. It makes it feel really bloggy, which it is a blog technically, but I don't know. It's more of an information site, helpful information site. I'd rather see there, this goes back to that branding, I'd rather see a cool picture of you holding up a fish or something like that. That's going to make it feel more personal. It's going to make it feel like people are getting their tips from you, not from some unnamed, faceless corporation. I guess I shouldn't say unnamed, but it is named. But
the faceless corporations of fishing.
Yeah, you don't want this to feel like something that some fishing company put out there. You want it to feel real and personal, and so that's kind of how I would use the sidebar for your branding.
Have a big picture of you fishing and a little about me.
Just a little about me segment, like 3-4 lines.
If you ever think you may have an information product on your website, you've got to start the branding immediately when they get to your website. Yeah. Immediately they need to see you, that you're a human being. Your writing style needs to include I and little tidbits about you. I usually go fishing with my 2 boys. Just include tiny little tidbits about you all the time. That's why in our YouTube videos, as you're watching them, you see these little things that show up and it says Ricky Kessler and a little fun fact about him. Yeah. Because we want you to know us. And so anytime you can interject those little bits about you, it helps if you're going to make an info product sale pitch later on, that they've warmed up to you a little bit and it's not just cold traffic.
Yeah. I guess for me, when I look at this website, I'm really, really happy with what I see. I would not be worried about this at all. I do want to point out a couple things, though, about trends and seasonality. Okay, we talked about how it's too early on for you to really be seeing much traffic at all anyway. It's springtime. As we do a Google Trends search, we notice that this time of year, things are picking up. In terms of searches for things like bass fishing, trout fishing, those are picking up. But it is a very, very seasonal niche. In fact, there's about 3 times as much traffic in the peak of the summer as there is in the fall, winter months.
December, yeah.
Interestingly enough, it starts to pick up in about January and peaks in more like June.
So that's why we felt so compelled to make this video about this website. He's making the content now. The dead time is October, November, December for this. And so what this website owner is almost certainly going to see is a much longer time where he's writing to a ghost town because about the time that the content could start ranking, the search volume is going to drop off. Just because right now it's May, and about the time it's going to take off is around October when it's dying. So do not be surprised if this particular website takes a long time before it starts going. The seed is planted well, and so I don't have many doubts here.
Now, a couple things we did find as we did some searches. One is fly fishing had it had the same seasonality curve, but the traffic didn't drop off as much in the winter, which was really interesting.
Compared to trout fishing.
Right. The other thing I want to point out is that you do have some opportunity for good winter traffic. Ice fishing. Ice fishing is a big thing. As we talked about ice fishing, one of the things that we pointed out is that ice fishing is something that if somebody wants to do this and they don't know a lot about it, they're very, very likely to Google it. Okay? Now, you get these huge peaks right in the middle of the off season, right? I mean, we're talking it starts to peak in December,
January.
To January. Yep. So it's a perfect sort of stabilizer for your traffic. If you started writing those posts now, they would have enough time to rank before peak ice fishing season. But back to my point, if somebody doesn't know about ice fishing and they want to try it out, they need to know some stuff to be able to go ice fishing. If I don't know much about bass fishing and I just want to take my kids fishing, I might not Google anything. I might just pick up a fishing rod from the local store and take my kid fishing and totally fail, like most dads, and I might not do a whole lot of searches. But if I'm going to go winter ice fishing, I'm definitely going to look for a tutorial. Exactly. So if you can create some really good ice fishing content now, you might get to see a little bit more of that or traffic growth earlier on.
Winter bass fishing, things like that. Bass fishing is more often warm water. So winter bass fishing is a more specialized thing. So there are ways to do it. You just have to plan now. Bloggers often make this mistake. They'll write, tips for Christmas, whatever, like on December 1st. And it's like, it's just not going to rank. So unless you have a huge social following that you can share that out to, this isn't just going to work. You need to think about Christmas in May if you really want to have a chance for that.
Yep.
Okay, so there are so many things we can get into on this website, but I guess more than anything on this video, we just wanted to give you some encouragement that if you feel like you're writing to a ghost town, it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing anything wrong. Just like when you plant a seed, you got to expect that it's going to take a little bit of time to grow. If you're ready to plant your seed and change your life, completely change your financial life by starting passive income websites, go to incomeschool.com/project24. We give you 60 steps, step by step, and hours of video training showing you how to find those low competition keywords that have traffic, how to set up your website if you're a beginner, and if you're more advanced, how to take a YouTube channel and push some real traffic to it. Which, by the way, we didn't even get into yet, but that is a huge next step here, is YouTube channel to start getting some traffic thrown over to these articles. Check it out, incomeschool.com/project24.